provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Winchendon Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to observe the meeting may do so via Zoom using the information provided above. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. It is, I think, playing live, and then I'm also going to record it. So.
Good. So where do we stand with DEP numbers?
We have some. So the first couple of things on the agenda are we have the opportunity to reorganize the board if someone else wants to take a different role. I don't know, Kyle, how you feel about continuing to be chair or whether someone else is chomping at the bit.
Well, it's fine with me. I mean, if someone else wants to take it, I'll gladly give it up. But if not, I'll gladly continue as well.
I like it the way it is.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
Sounds good. So it sounds like the consensus of the board is to leave well enough alone. And then we have 2 sets of minutes, both of which are in the packet. The first was from July 9th, and the second was from July 23rd. I don't know if anyone has any corrections or questions on those.
I don't. I looked at them electronically, and they seem fine to me.
Okay. Anybody else? Melissa, David, you good?
I'm good.
All right. Then we need a motion to approve those. And we can do them either together if you all were present for all of them or one at a time if you were not. I think you guys have been at all of them.
I don't have the date. Well, I have it. Never mind. Excuse me. Motion to approve both sets of minutes as presented.
Can I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor? David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you guys. And then I have one announcement that National Grid is going to continue with trimming on the rights of way and things around the roadways in accordance with their submitted plan, which is just an announcement that we have to make to let everyone know, but that's nothing new. The first hearing, I have 6:05, Kyle, I don't know where you're at. But.
I got 6:07.
Okay. So you guys need to open the hearing, and then I'll give you a quick update, and then I think we need to continue this one.
Okay. David, did you print out the packet, or are you going to read off the screen?
I don't have the hearing notices, so if you can read it, Kyle, that's.
Okay.
And I didn't want to print it all, so.
I can read them as well if you'd like, Kyle. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll read them. Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold public hearings on Thursday, August 15, 2020, at 6:05 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Matthew Olson of Ashoran LLC for work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands on Mill Glen Road, Assessors Map 10, Lot 66. The proposed work includes construction of a single-family 3-bedroom home with driveway, septic system, well, and related site work and grading. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it is safe to do so, in the second floor auditorium of Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing. Hey, is that a hard G in your last name?
It is.
Okay, amanugian@townofwinchendon.com.
Yep. All right. So this one, as of right now, does not have a DEP number. And the only note that DEP has made in their records is that it's a single-family residence in a riverfront area. So they don't have any missing information or anything. They just haven't reviewed it and assigned a number as of yet. So this one, I think, if we can continue it to September 10th at 6:05, hopefully by then it will have a DEP number.
Can I get a motion to continue to September 10th at 6:05?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second
Yes.
that.
In favor? David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes aye.
The next one is at 6:10.
Okay. Everything we can do between now and then? It's only a minute.
Yeah, I'm looking.
If we blow through these, is there anything in the end of the meeting, new business that we can discuss between hearings?
There are a couple of certificates of compliance, and then there are 3 ongoing violations that we can move up if we have time. I think at this point, I'm not sure that a minute is worth.
No, not this one, but with some of the hearings, or maybe eventually.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I have 6:10 now.
Yep. So the next one, this one's already been opened previously. This is a continuation, of the Kemp Street ones. And at this point, I'm just checking to see if Michael Mimna has appeared. I don't think he has.
Yeah, we don't have a quorum to vote.
We won't have a quorum to vote, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to connect, I think, Paul Graz with you, Dave and Jamie, because at this point, I don't think it's possible for the board to ever have a quorum of folks for this hearing, because we've had some changes in membership. So I'm not sure with Dave needing to recuse himself that we can ever get there. So we may have to, I guess, just re-advertise it and kind of start over with the information you provided. Obviously, we wouldn't charge you again for that, but we just don't have the ability to deal with it. We don't have a quorum. Does that make sense, Paul?
Some kind of there's some kind of law or procedure when you can't get a quorum because of conflict of interest. It happened. It occurred once before in another town, and honestly, I don't remember the details of it, but there was some procedure you could go through for that, or?
You can, and we could do that if, for example, 3 of the 5 members were abutters, but it's not something that we can do where it's one person.
Yeah.
It's a little more complicated.
Yeah, that's what the situation was, now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's agonizing to have to do this for everyone involved.
Good evening, Paul.
But,
Pardon me?
So good evening, Paul.
Oh, good evening. How are you all doing today?
Didn't see you there. So we need to continue this one, Allison?
I was just saying, Kyle, we could continue it, but we will never, ever
We don't have a quorum to continue it. We don't have a quorum to continue it.
Well, we would never have a quorum to hear it, unfortunately.
Wouldn't we even need a vote to continue it, which we don't have a quorum for? It's quite a conundrum.
You can continue it without a quorum if the quorum doesn't exist, but well, why don't we continue it at this point to 9:10 at 6:10, and I'll email you and we can figure out how best to proceed at this point.
Allison, can I make a comment? Because I think I have an answer.
Absolutely.
So if the property changes hands and I no longer have ownership, I no longer have a interest, and I'm not an abutter.
True.
But if the property comes in just under Jameson Van Dyke and not myself, then that solves the problem. What do you think, Paul?
How would you not be in a butter?
I don't live there.
Oh, okay. I thought you lived on the land of the butter. No.
No, I don't live there. That's
Oh.
my.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense to me.
Has the property changed hands? Does Jamie own it?
Has not changed hands. This meeting has helped change of the closing of it, because they wanted it approved for the closing. And because I'm involved in it, we haven't been able to get a quorum. But if we do a closing, then we know it's going to go through. We just need to, that's something maybe legally we need to work out.
Yeah.
I think we were in agreement that the changes made were sufficient, and I think we were all in agreement to approve it. So if you were back in the quorum, I think it would work that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really is just the logistics of not having a quorum. So, I mean, Paul, you're hearing obviously that there are no roadblocks at this point other than the inability to get a quorum. So why don't we talk offline and figure out how to work the logistics of this to get it back on September 10th, and then hopefully it'll be opened and closed in one night and we'll be good to move forward.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, things happen.
I know, but still frustrating. So we just need a motion to continue that to September 10th at 6:10.
Why do we need a motion? We can't vote without a quorum, right?
To vote to continue, you can. Yeah.
Motion to,
Go ahead, Dave.
motion to continue.
Need a second?
Second that.
All in favor? David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Aye. Yes.
Chair votes aye.
All right.
$6:15.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks, Paul. That's the only one you have tonight, Paul, out of all these?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
The free man.
Now we can't start till 6:20, huh?
Nope, we have one for 6:15. Yep.
It says 6:20.
You're right, it does. All right, let's go then to a couple of the other at the end. So we have,
I'm Matt Katowski, by the way.
yep, we'll get to you in 5 minutes when we hit the right time. It's on the agenda at one time and in the newspaper at another time, so.
All right, thanks.
So this is the first of the request for certificate of compliance. This was just a simple, retaining wall area on Beachview, our favorite street. I don't know that anybody's here for this one. So I went out last week. Everything looks good. They've completed the construction. It's very clean. It was in accordance with everything, and now basically they want to take down the erosion control and take it off their deed. So I see no issue with this.
Has anybody else looked at it?
I have not looked at it.
Oh,
I have not.
I'll take Allison's assessment and ask for a vote to issue the
I'll move to issue the order of compliance.
Second.
I second that.
All in favor? Melissa?
I second. Yes.
I said all in favor.
Yes.
David?
Yeah.
Chair votes aye.
Alrighty. So the next one is another certificate of compliance. This one is similar to some others we've had in the last few meetings in that it's from a project that is so long ago that the whole thing is a little kind of absurd at this point. This is for 682 Spring Street, and I went out there. The site is basically clean. It's they've recently gotten some permissions to move forward on a new project from the planning board, but it looks good. There are no issues or concerns that I have out there. We have a letter from the attorney stating that everything, he's not aware of any issues or concerns. The site is stable, plants are growing, it looks good.
I looked at this one as well, and I agree with you. Can I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Second.
Second that.
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm doing time-wise.
619.
So I'm going to skip. There was storage in the buffer at 162 Main Street. We've seen this a couple times already. I don't know who it was last time that wanted to go out and kind of take a final look. I think, these are the pictures from February. Obviously, there's no snow currently. I think it looks pretty good and that he's done a good job considering the restrictions that he has on his site. But
What are we looking for on this one?
basically, it's just an open violation, and if folks are content with where it's at, I'll just write him a letter to kind of close out that violation, if you will, and we'll just move forward. You don't have to have it on the agenda anymore.
I visited this site and spent probably an hour with him, and I'm content with how it looks.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing heads nodding, so.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I also visited it, and it looked much better than the pictures.
Great. Awesome. All right. And I think we are back to 620. All right. So this is a new one.
Okay.
Do you guys want me to read the legal notice, or do you want to take it?
I'll do it.
All righty.
Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, July 9, 2020 at 6:20 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Matthew Kotowski for proposed work within a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 195 Beachview Drive, Assessors Map 12, Parcel 50. The proposed work includes reconstruction of the existing stone wall near the lake, creation of an approximately 1,000 square foot two-tiered patio area, in addition of a walkway to the lake for a dock. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, where it is safe to do so, in the second floor auditorium of Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing amanugian@townofwinchendon.com. Mr. Kotowski.
Being up last week, so and I'm guessing we're okay on this, or
Yeah, I think certainly pretty close. So this was a site, guys, that I had received a concern about. They came in, I went out and kind of halted construction. They were, a wall right along the edge of the lake was being reconstructed, which I think has basically been completed at this point. It had been demolished. And then they wanted to do an additional patio area, kind of in 2 layers with like a foot difference. Matt, was that? Okay.
Exactly.
Kind of in this rectangular area, and then redo the stairs to the house and potentially the stairs down to the dock. You can see here a little bit more.
more detail? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple been out there, both tiles.
Yeah, when I saw it, the upper level was already all dirt, and there was no vegetation or anything. I believe there was already erosion controls in place, right?
Yes.
In the bottom patio, the wall was done. So, yeah, I was good with it.
There is a note on their map from DEP that they would like to see a plan or narrative. But we can condition, I mean, we already have those. I'm not sure why they don't, but we can reference those in our conditions, and that will cover that. This one does have a DEP number, as Matt said. So if you guys have questions or comments, we're happy to field them.
I don't have anything. David or Melissa?
I don't have any questions.
I'm okay with it. I did a drive-by, looked at it also.
All right. Are there any conditions that you guys would put in the order other than our standard ones?
I don't think so. I think the erosion control is pretty much what we would do, and it's already in place.
Yep.
It seemed like he was going about it very responsibly.
Yep, okay,
David or Melissa?
I'm okay with it.
okay. So we just need the motion to issue the order.
So moved to issue the order of conditions.
Need a second?
I second that.
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Awesome. Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you, Matt. You're all set. I'll get you the paperwork probably early next week. I'll get you a draft copy of it, and then once the board members come in and sign it, we'll move forward with the formal final parts.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Well,
Alrighty. So the next one is a continuation.
6:30? Should be 5 minutes again?
This one's also, you're right. All right, so we can pop down then to the last couple. Where are they? So there are 2 violations still kind of ongoing. The one at 385, where the property owner was kind of plowing dirt into the edge of Lake Menominee to extend his property. I'm pleased to report that I issued the final notice kind of a violation along with the $300 fine. The board technically has the right to continue that fine each day, but at this point, the applicant has responded. He has retained an attorney, and they intend to file a notice of intent and restoration plan for the September meeting. So at this point, I'm content with where this is at. I'm not sure it's productive to continue to fine on a daily basis. But I wanted to run it by the board and see what your thoughts are.
In my opinion, as long as the work is stopped and he said he's going to file a restoration plan, then we have to take him at his word. How's the board feel?
Okay.
I would agree. Like, we now have his attention, and that's important. And as long as there's no further work, a restoration plan will be good.
Okay.
Melissa?
Awesome.
I agree.
And that was, in fact, kind of the intent of the whole process, so that worked well.
Yeah, worked as intended, yep.
Exactly. So this
So I want that
is,
smoothly.
I see that Philip White is here. So this is an older kind of violation that gets a little more complicated than some. As you can see from the pictures, again, in February, Mr. White has a number of structures that are very, very close to the wetland, which is Lake Menominee. In the top picture, you can see toward the left, there's a flagpole, and that flagpole goes down and it basically is on the beach. So the water is probably maybe 10 feet beyond that little brown shed structure. This came to our attention when I think Mr. White was interested in joining the Conservation Commission, and he's done some work. We just need to get kind of some sort of consensus reached with him and with the board so that we can give him some sort of assurance kind of that the way things are is permitted and there's no current violation going on. And then we can move forward and talk about if he wants to have a role on the board or what, but that will clear things up. I don't know if you guys have questions for Mr. White, or Philip, if you want to kind of give a heads up of what you moved and how.
Okay, why don't we give Mr. White the floor?
Yep. So if you're muted, if you're speaking, there we go. So Mr. White, do you want to kind of fill us in on what's been done to address this since February?
And we have no audio. I don't know if anyone else can hear him, but I can't.
Nope. All right. Yes, I don't know if you guys want to just kind of hold this one and see if he comes back a little later in the meeting.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Move on. Looks like he disappeared.
Alrighty. So we can go back up.
6:29, so less than a minute. We
Yep.
can do the 6:30 hearing.
It'll take me that long to organize where I'm at.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Ms. Back.
Yeah.
Okay, 6:30. Is this a new one for a reading?
It is not a new one. This is a continuation.
Okay.
So the McNamara's are here. I apologize as I try and find them on these, all these. Oh, there you, thank you guys.
Yeah.
So this is a parcel down on Lake Menominee. I think everyone has been there. And they are looking to change the roof line on their existing home, as well as replace and expand a screen porch that came off in a storm earlier. So I have a number of elevations and stuff. If you guys, Chris, want to kind of take it and tell me what you want to see, I will try and find the right plan.
Sure, sure. If first and foremost, Allison, if we could, I know it's being recorded, so I'm attorney John Crowley, C-R-A-W-L-E-Y. I happen to actually live on the lake, and Lauren and Chris are good friends. So I've stepped in to kind of see where we could work and help out with this 85 Beachview Drive. And with respect to both, it seems that every time they've had folks here, they come up with a different measurement with respect to the offset from the water. Recognizing that the board's primary concern is the fact that it needs to be 50 foot, at least a 50-foot offset. I've been talking with Chris and Lauren, and they have currently planned 3 quotes coming in for an engineer to come in and to appropriately place the height, the location of the addition in a way that it absolutely meets that 50-foot offset from both ends. So at this time, maybe Chris, you want to say a little bit about what you're doing. But with respect to it, I think the best point for us would be to come back to you with that plan, knowing that with the 50-foot offsets in the engineering plan, it's approved. So Chris?
Basically want to have an engineer survey so we know exactly where the water line is in regards to the addition that we have planned. And if we get an engineered survey, we know exactly where we're going from, because we've just been using tape measures at random times, and I don't know the angle to the water exactly. So what we're looking for is we get something definitive from an engineered survey, make our addition appropriately within that 50-foot boundary.
Yeah, and by doing so, what we hope to do for the board is just to make it an easy cut and dried engineering plan that would be followed, of course, and would clearly illustrate to you guys that it's been signed off at 50 feet and that it meets your requirements, so we can move on with the addition that Chris and Lauren want to go into.
Okay. The board has said all along that we're fine with pretty much anything that the 50-foot distance. So as long as we're in 50 feet, I see 40 on the screen and 50 on the screen. You're talking a 10-foot difference. So I don't know if using a tape measure is going to give us a 10-foot error, but
yeah.
And the water level changes. That's another thing. So
Yes, exactly.
Changes drastically between summer and winter, and especially during the drawdown. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you come back with a plan with a 50-foot setback that's met, in my opinion, I think the board's been okay with it all along.
Super.
I won't speak for the board, but that's my impression. David?
It's just as long as the 50-foot is the high water mark.
Yeah. understood. Although some have taken an average in the past, based on what we're seeing in the early issues with engineers, it looks as though it'll meet that plan.
That's good. That's great. I think.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, some of that is the jockeying of some of the requirement on the piece. So our goal all along has just been to make it easier for everybody to illustrate engineering-wise and have it signed off that the requirement is met.
And I believe our goal is to have him get what he wants as long as it meets the bylaw restrictions. We're not trying to be difficult on purpose.
Yeah,
We're
that's
just
greatly
going by the
appreciated.
bylaws.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I reckon.
Melissa, let me give Melissa a chance to speak.
Yeah, I had the same opinion as everybody else. We're just trying to get that 50-foot mark off the water.
Thank you.
So the current plan is that we will come back to you. The engineers will start the work. As you may realize, there's a lot of demand for these engineers right now, so getting one on board quickly is quite difficult. Making a few favors, but as quickly as we can get that done, we'll talk to the board, seek to come back in, file that plan, and seek to come back for approval so that we can get over to the planning board.
Okay. Thank you for being reasonable about it.
That sounds good. So I think it makes sense to continue that to September 10th at 6:15.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to continue.
To September 10th at 6:15.
It won't be done.
I'm sorry, what was the date?
6:15.
September 10th?
9/10.
September 10th?
It won't be done now.
Yep.
Yes.
We're not sure we'll be done. Can we just keep in contact and inform you if
We
it,
can do that, or we can put you on the agenda, and if you're not ready, we can just continue it again. But
That's fine.
if you want to
That's
ensure your
fine.
spot on the agenda, it's no big problem for us if you don't get up
Very
ready
good.
when your time comes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great.
Okay, can I get a second?
I second that.
All in favor? David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes aye to continue till September 10th, 6:15.
Thank you, guys. And if anybody has any questions, should reach out to me. I'm on the lake anyway, so, okay?
Great. Thank you.
We're going to sign off here.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great day, folks.
You too.
Thank you. All right. So the next one on our list was actually posted for 6:55, so we'll pass that over for a moment. Then we have another 6:30. This is a new one.
Okay, I'll do the reading. Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearings on Tuesday, August 13, 2020, at 6:30 p.m. to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Vincent Cash for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 255 West Menominee Road, Assessors Map 6, Lot 37. The proposed work includes removal of a 100-foot pine tree in the wetland buffer. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it is safe to do so, in the second floor auditorium of the Winchton Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing amanugian@townofwinchton.com.
All right. So this one, I went out and took a look at it. It is, I didn't take any pictures, unfortunately, but it is a parcel that, you know, kind of has the beach on one side, then the road, then the home and the remainder of that. So it's a large pine. It's across the street from the lake, so it's not, you know, directly on the beach or anything like that. It's about 60 feet away from the shoreline. Very close to the house. It appears to be healthy, but taking it down, it's not a vista issue, so I'm not entirely clear what the goal is unless it's just too close to the house.
Is the applicant present?
I don't know, that's what I was just scanning to see. I don't believe so. If anyone's here for this one, this is the time to speak up. I'm not seeing anyone.
I have any further details than this. I wouldn't recommend approving it. If you say it's a healthy tree.
Out there today, I'd like to comment.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, so I went out this afternoon actually to talk to the applicant. The trees, like Melissa, are very large. It's out of the 50-foot no disturb on the side of the road, is inside. And where it's out of the 50-foot zone, I say let them do what they want to. It's not going to hurt anything. There's no impact to the lake. It's far enough away from the house, so it's not an impact to the house. But if that tree were to come down, it's going to take out the complete power system for that side of the lake. So I don't see an issue with it.
Okay, Melissa?
I did not visit the site, so currently, like I said, is outside of the buffer zone, so I don't have an issue with it.
It's outside the 50, not the 100, but that's the 50 is the no-touch zone, and that's, I think, our biggest concern. So I think we should let them do it.
You want to make a motion for a negative determination? Or do we need to close the hearing first, Alice?
You do. Yep, close it.
Okay,
And then,
Motion to close.
you have a second?
Second that.
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. I have a motion for negative determination, if that's the way you choose to go.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Yes.
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes aye.
perfect. It's 6:30. This one is a continuation. We had seen this before. This is the large solar project proposed for Spring Street. We did have peer review done, and there are a number of open concerns and questions. I think that the applicant is here. Yep, I see him. So Rodney, do you want to speak to kind of where things are at?
Thank you for this. And I did send responses to these comments earlier this week. I did email those to you. I emailed responses to these as well as the DEP, the 8 or so comments from DEP. There really is no comments here that are really detrimental to the design. That was our feeling. So we can address all these if you would prefer, or if there's particular ones that you want addressed, and don't worry about the other ones. I mean, I'll leave that up to the commission. But I did send responses to these earlier this week. I did email those out.
All right, I saw the responses to the DEP ones that came through yesterday late in the day. I did not. I'll have to go back and look for the others. Process-wise, typically what we look for is you to work directly with the peer reviewer, and ultimately we'll get a letter from them that kind of says, oh yeah, we've worked out all the details and we're comfortable with the plan as it currently is.
Okay, so they, both DEP and Ty and Bond had questions regarding the wetland delineation. And I think the only way really to handle that is to have a site walk. Is that something that we would arrange through the town, or would we go right to Ty and Bond with that?
I mean, it's certainly something that I, as the agent, would be interested in being there and included in the conversation. I think because Ty and Bond did that, your engineer or your wetland scientist did the flagging, and then Ty and Bond did it. It's really something you guys need to resolve.
Right, correct. Correct. I feel the same way. I think that's really the only way to handle it. I'm no wetland scientist. I'm a civil engineer, so I'm not a wetland scientist. So for me to try to fight for these points, is really useless. So we do have several dates. I did speak with with my wetland scientist before the call. We do have several dates we are available for not next week, but the week after. We would be available the 24th, 25th, 26th for a site walk.
Okay.
So, I would, if we can schedule that, obviously, before the next meeting, because most of these other points are very easily addressed. And again, it's up to the commission what they feel is important and what they don't feel is important. But when we opened up the public hearing, the commission seemed fine with the location of the stormwater features. The question was asked specifically if they wanted any of these features pulled back, and the commission did not indicate that was the case. So again, I don't think there's anything major that will affect the overall design of this facility. So we can move forward with the site walk ahead of next month's meeting, and we can work with Ty and Bond to straighten whatever the town deems important and it needs to be addressed. And I would be looking for feedback from the commission regarding if they want all these addressed or if they would like specific items addressed. Because a lot of these are really just bookkeeping type items.
Right. So typically, obviously the commission is welcome to weigh in on these. Typically, kind of if you respond in line to each of these back to Ty and Bond, then at some point they kind of give it a, discussion has closed around this and we're good to move forward. They're not really things that need to be. Okay.
So what I can do, Allison, is I can resend my responses back to Ty and Bond. I'll resend those this evening.
Okay.
It was actually an attachment to the DEP comments.
And then maybe I just missed it.
Well, I can resend them. That's not a big deal. Okay. And again, this site walk, if we could have it, a couple weeks prior to next month's meeting, it would give us a chance to address any issues that come up.
Yep. So we can set that up with Gene kind of offline, if you will. But I think at this point, I would recommend continuing this to the 10th at 6:20.
That's our only option.
Yep.
Can I have a
motion to continue?
Second?
A second.
All in favor? David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Very good. We will connect on that.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you.
Good night.
Alrighty. So this one is a new one. The notice does need to be read.
Okay. Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchester Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchester Conservation Commission will hold public hearings on Thursday, August 13th, 2020, at 6:40 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by April Mills for proposed work in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands at 376 Beachview Drive, Assessors Map 15, Lot 18. The proposed work includes installation of plantings and a deck on the beach to restore vegetation and control erosion. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it is safe to do so, in the second floor auditorium of the Winchester Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing amanubian@townofwinchester.com.
Alrighty. So this is a parcel that I think everyone has some familiarity with. April's here tonight. So April, do you kind of want to walk us through the plans and what the intent is, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, I'd like to. Thank you, and hello everybody, and thanks for your time.
Hey, April.
So what I would like to do is a really basic, simple plan, keeping it as simple as possible. It includes adding some native plants over to the area that's looped to the right if it were in landscape mode. Yep, right there. So right now there's no plants there, and there's been historical washout there. Since I moved in, I noticed that there was an issue I'd like to plant probably some ferns or whatever, whatever plants the board even would recommend. If we could get some pollinars, that would be great. I was thinking maybe a butterfly bush or something. I don't know if that's acceptable. I would like to grind the stumps that are to the right of the sidewalk. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those stumps there, yep. Partly to help with the next step of the plan, which is to put riprap down where you see on the water's edge where those lines are. I want to put some riprap down there and then put essentially a dock to level that out. The dock would end right at where the edge drops. And I would put a couple of truckloads of sand to lock all of that in place. Idea being that the whole area is sloped pretty well. That sloping results in, again, it's historical. There's 2 areas, if you look at it, that have drainage, and the drainage so fast that it creates channels, and a lot of that's coming off the road because everything is lower than the road. So what I would like to do is slow that down by leveling it off a little bit, having that riprap and then the sand at the edge, basically to keep everything in place.
People have questions or comments, concerns?
Well, I've been there, and it's pretty much bare, and so you need to do something to prevent the erosion. So anything is better than nothing. I don't. Did you hire an engineer to do this, April?
No, I did not. I spent pretty much a nice hot summer day out there measuring everything out with the tape measure, so it's within the inch. And I did talk to several people around the area who've done the same thing, and then common sense says level it out to stop the fast drainage. I talked to a couple of my neighbors about riprap and what it does. It just seems to be the most common sense plan, and like I said, the easiest and cleanest with the least disruption. I had talked a little bit about Allison. Allison did come out and do a site visit, and I talked to her about the different things to put where essentially what it's going to be is a dock, so that it's not wood, it's not metal, it's not anything that's going to impact the water. And we talked about maybe putting a wood dock up, but then we'd have to put, the concrete pillars in, which would take out what's right now it's kind of hard packed. So the whole beach area is a hard pack, and I'm afraid if I disrupt that by putting any pillars or posts in, it's going to actually end up causing more damage than it would help. So essentially, I just thought, what's the least touching that I can do, but to mitigate the issues.
Comments from the board?
I like the idea of the stump grinding as opposed to the removal. It's a lot less. I think your plan is very good, April.
Thank you.
I have to agree. I mean, I went by there, and it's very barren, and I don't know what's going to stop the erosion once those stumps are removed.
Yeah, and I don't want to remove them because, again, that would disturb that ground, and I don't want to do that. Obviously, I think that would cause a huge mess. The drawing isn't in really scale. I mean, the measurements are accurate, but that one area where all the trees are down at the bottom, that's an issue because it's actually closer to the road. And I've been keeping an eye on that since I bought the house, and I'm worried that we're going to end up replacing the road or having to the town's going to have to build a wall there or something, because it is very wet, it is very boggy, and those trees that are there aren't mine. Most of them are not mine, and I'm concerned about them, and I kind of wish the commission would take a look at them and maybe ask the property owner to take down the dead ones because they're right across from the power transformers. So maybe just an area of concern. Again, it's not part of my project, it's not my land, but the vegetation that I want to plant would help stop that right there.
The vegetation that you want to plant, can it take the water, the amount of water that flows through there?
Say again?
The vegetation you want to plant, can it take the amount of water that flows through there?
Well, what I was thinking is those little plants that I have drawn down there are actually ferns. And what I was going to do was just transplant some from the back of the hill, way outside the 100-foot zone. But I was going to transplant ferns, their exact same type, down in that area as well. I figured if those ferns are doing okay and they're used to the soil, it should do all right. Again, if you have any suggestions as far as the vegetation, that would be great.
I don't know. I'd ask David. David, what do you think about the vegetation?
I don't have a good answer to it because I didn't really pay attention to what the soil matter was, but ferns like a lot of water, so I don't know how much water comes through there if it dries out too much. So other than that, I would think of something like mountain laurel or something like that. Mountain laurel has a big root system, so that would be my other suggestion, April. If you can't, the ferns don't take, I would suggest mountain laurel, and you got to start with a little one because their root system's so big. But that really, that holds really good, and it doesn't grow too big, so you don't lose any view or anything like that.
So the mountain laurel, I considered that because I have some up on the hill on my house. The only thing that worries me about that is that it does tend to spread, and it does. Like, up to the roots.
Good, you know, it's a good holding. You know, it's a good erosion control plant.
Right, okay.
So it sounds like there's a lot of information I can put in, kind of the recommendation for plants. But it sounds like this is heading toward issuing an order. A DEP number did get issued kind of late in the day yesterday, I believe, at some point. So we do have that. If folks are ready to close the hearing and make a decision, you certainly can.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second, or so moved. Motion to close.
Second that.
All in favor? David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you, guys.
For a motion for an order of conditions?
So moved.
That we're looking for, Allison?
Yep.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
So does this mean that I can actually move forward, call the contractor, and start the project now?
So you just need to wait until I'll write up a formal decision. The board members will sign it, hopefully in the next week, and then you'll need to record the order with the Registry of Deeds. But yeah, after that you can start work. So I think if you want to call and start getting quotes and schedules and working on logistics for a couple of weeks out, that's perfectly reasonable.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
April, one second.
Yes, sir.
Another thing you could throw in there that works really good is lily bulbs.
Lily?
Yeah.
Oh, I like lilies. You think they'd work there?
Yep, I think they would. They like a lot of water, and I would try some. I mean,
like what kind of lilies?
Do is find somebody that's got so many of them. They cut them up and split them, and you can just put them in the fall and see if they come back in the spring.
You mean like the flowers lilies?
Yeah, like tiger lilies.
Oh, that would be cool. Oh, I've got some of those up here. You mean day lilies?
But you gotta put them in the fall. You gotta dig the bulbs out and plant them, after the growing season, and they'll come up in the spring.
I would love that. If that's acceptable on the water, that would be great, because I see the butterflies. There's butterflies down there, and I've got all kinds of hummingbirds that are looking for food.
We'll try it. They may take.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. The next one is a continuation. This was when we heard, and I think we largely dealt with it last time around, but it didn't have a DEP number issued. So this was on Lincoln Ave, where there was some work done and it was halted, and then a notice of intent came through with a plan to replant the trees and remove the fire pit and let things go back to kind of more natural there.
Yeah, I remember we were all pretty happy with this plan.
Yep, and I think the applicant is here.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. So do you guys have questions for the applicant, or are you ready to move forward?
Any questions from the board?
I'm all set with it.
Looks fine to me.
As I recall, we were fine with it. We were just waiting on the DEP number.
Okay. And we can close it. And
Motion to close the hearing. Can I get that?
Motion to close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
and then it's a notice of intent, so typically we would issue an order.
Motion to issue an order of conditions.
Second. Can I get a second, Melissa?
I second.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
So the next one is a new notice of intent hearing for 386 Beachview. We don't have a DEP number yet, so we can open it and then continue it.
Okay.
Someone does need to read the notice.
Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, August 13, 2020 at 6:50 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Chad LeBlanc, proposed work in the 100-foot buffer zone bordering vegetated wetlands at 386 Beachview Drive, such as map 15, lot 31. Proposed work includes plantings on the beach near Lake Menominee. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it's safe to do so, in the second floor auditorium of the Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing damonnugian@townofwinchendon.com. Can I get a motion to continue to September 10th at what time, Allison?
6:25 we're up to.
Motion to continue.
Second.
A second.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yeah.
Chair votes yes.
All right, Chad, so that will just continue to next month, and hopefully by then we'll have a DEP number, and we'll be all set to close it out and go forward.
Great, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
So now I'm going to go back up and catch the one that I had completely out of place.
6:55.
Exactly. I'm not really sure how I managed to mess that up so badly, but
Well, we have our fourth tonight at 6:30.
yeah, all right, so this one is a continuation. This was so this was the single pine on the beach. We had talked about it last month and requested that if the applicant wanted to continue to move forward, that an opinion be provided from an arborist. I have not seen anything. I don't know if anyone is here for this one. Nope. So I mean, I would assume from that the applicant is potentially not interested in moving forward. Either way, we could close the hearing, and then a negative finding would allow him to proceed and take down the tree. A positive finding would require that if he wants to proceed, he come forward with a notice of intent application.
Okay. I don't think we determined that it had bug damage. That was still up in the air, so I think the consensus of the board was to issue a positive.
Yep. So we just need to close the hearing, and then you can do that.
Motion to close.
Second.
A second.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. Now we need a motion for a negative or positive determination.
Motion for a positive finding.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Alrighty. Go back to where we should have been all along. right. This one is for 7 p.m., which we have cleared. This is a new one, so someone needs to read the notice.
Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchendon Wetland Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 13, 2020, at 7 o'clock p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Joanne Moreau for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands at 106 Lakeview Drive. Assessors Map 10, Lot 35. The proposed work includes replacement of the existing deck with a larger footprint, 59 feet off the lake. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it is safe to do so, in the second floor auditorium of Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing amanugian@townofwinchendon.com.
So this is another one where we don't have a heck of a lot of information. DEP has not issued a number yet. In part, they've noted that they need a sketch or a plan to understand what's being proposed. I don't know if there's anyone here.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
My name's not Renee, but I did turn in a drawing with the building permit, which of course that's the only copy.
Okay.
So yeah, she's looking for a copy of that. So I don't know if I can get that from Jeff or whatever. I can figure that out.
Yep, I can get that.
But basically, you know, she has a deck that's 65 feet from the water. It's small. She wants to extend it 6 feet towards the water. She has one of the old A-frames, which lands on the deck. So her 10-foot deck is really only 6 feet for a good portion of it because the roof lands on it. So she's looking to extend it a little bit and make it safer for her and her grandchild, possibly children.
Okay. So I can pull that out and I can scan it back to you guys as well as to DEP. But at this point, without the DEP number, I'm not sure there's much we can do. We can continue it to 6:30 on the 10th, excuse me.
Motion to continue pending plans and DEP number.
Second.
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Awesome. So I will be in touch with that one.
See you in a month.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Alrighty. So this is another new one. You can read the notice.
Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 13, 2020, at 7:05 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Earl Haight for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands at 96 East Menominee Road, Assessor's Map 8, Lot 14. The proposed work includes trimming and removal of trees in the wetland buffer and construction of hardscaped area. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it is safe to do so, in the second floor auditorium of Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing amanugian@townofwinchendon.com.
Alrighty. So this is a new one. I don't know if anyone is here.
Yes, I am.
So you want to walk us through with a sketch what you're planning? And this was one that I, again, got a call in and it was already in progress. So.
Yes, I'm sorry for the confusion there. I didn't realize I had an issue until I received your letter on the beginning of July that I was in violation, and I apologize for that. The walls that we were replacing are the walls that were falling down, and we had an issue of replacing them and making them sturdy so we can stop the erosion further. The trees that we're looking to remove, one is a double oak, and we've had 2 tree services come in and look at it and said it's not an issue when the oaks are going to come down, whether the oaks are going to come down, it's an issue of when they're going to come down. And they suggested that the 2 oaks that have bugs in between, it's co-joined trees right now, so at the bottom of the base of the trunk, there's been water pooling and there's bugs in there, is what the tree services told us. And the pine is mostly dead that we're looking at. And the other trees, some are over the roof or over the house, and we just want to trim some branches. We don't want to take the trees down at all. So, does that give you some insight into that?
So this is another one. If you guys want to talk more about it, we certainly can. We don't have a DEP number as of yet. And they did not indicate any issues or problems with it, just they haven't gotten around to it. They're a little COVID delayed, I believe. But we can continue it to September if you guys don't have any questions at this point.
I don't have any problem with it. He's hired experts to look at it, so we kind of have to defer to their expertise. They said they need to come down, and I'm all for them coming down. I don't know how the board feels.
I not get to look at this, but I'll make a point of look. We're going to have to put any house up, but I'll make a point of going out there before the next hearing.
Thanks, David.
I can also take a site visit out there, but if the trees need to come down because of bugs, I have no problem with that as well.
Okay, can I get a motion to continue to September 10th?
So moves.
Second?
All in favor, David?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That'll be what, 6:35, Allison?
6:35, yep.
All right, thank you.
General. Thank you. All right, this is another new one.
710. Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, August 13, 2020, at 7:10 p.m. to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Winchendon Community Park Committee, proposed work in the 100-foot buffer zone for bordering vegetated wetlands at Winchendon Community Park, Assessors Map 583, Lot 348. The proposed work includes construction of access trail to the fishing point in 2 phases. The first being a 200-foot long by 30-inch wide, and the second being an additional 100-foot long by 30-inch wide. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it is safe to do so, in the second-floor auditorium of the Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street. The notice of intent is available by emailing amanugian@townofwinchendon.com.
Alrighty, so I think we have some folks here for this one. This is I think probably the plan makes the most sense to be looking at, but we'll see. I don't know, John, if you or David, I don't know who's here for this one. Jane?
John, what do you want to do? Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Yes.
We want to hear what did you figure out by yourself?
Sorry.
The audio is not working for me.
Yeah. Do you want to try and walk us through the project, John?
What's that?
Do you want to try and walk us through the project?
Oh, very simple. We want to create a new pathway to get to the fishing point. The original pathway was going up and down very steep hill from where the observation deck is being built. And the observation deck basically blocked it off anyway. It was very steep, so we decided to create a new path coming at a Slater incline, which is going to tie into an original pathway or trail that comes out of Elm Street. And secondly, we're going to continue it across the original trail down the fishing point and go back up to the pathway that goes out to the forest and cove trail. The reason for applying with conservation is there are some areas where there'll have to be some what they call benching, where they take maybe 6 inches to 12 inches of the duff from the upside and move it to the downside of the 30-inch white trail. And basically, there's very little soil removal or moving. There will be some steps put in. You see on the left side, just a little bit of extra incline that can't be circumvented. So they're going to put like 3 stone steps in right there. But basically, there's very little earth movement, and the duff that's moved is just put to the lower side, and that'll take care of any erosion. We've already did a little test area about 10 feet long, and it's held up one for all the thunderstorms we've had, and it's hardly any motion of soil at all.
Okay.
That's about it.
So I'm struggling a little bit with the audio. I don't know where other folks are at. Questions?
Well, since this is an access trail, we have allowed access trails before. It's not clearing it for a view. So you have to take that into consideration.
I think too, it's worth pointing out that this is happening, not on a private residential lot, but as part of the Winchendon Community Park. So this is certainly something that will benefit the community without, I don't see any detriment to the wetland in this, but.
I agree. Comments from the board?
Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay. I've walked the trail, and I've seen what the trees that are marked. I did have a question on the marking of the trees because there's different colored markings. Some are pink, some are red. Are they all marked come down, or is there something different with coloring?
I can answer that. The trees are marked because of the proposed amphitheater that's going in. That's surveyor's marks. If you'll notice, the red tape around the trees all have a number on them. That's just part of the surveying effort.
So those trees that are marked aren't necessarily staying or going?
No.
They're just on the plan. Okay.
Just on the plan.
Thank you.
I'm okay with it, Kyle.
Okay. I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Close the hearing and then make a determination.
Okay.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yep.
Okay, can I get a motion for either a negative or positive determination?
Motion for a negative determination.
Second.
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David? Chair votes yes.
Perfect. So I will write that up, and once it's signed, I will get it out to you guys. But
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
All right, so this is another new one. We need to read it to open it.
Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 13, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. to consider the notice of intent filed by Warren Field for proposed work within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetative wetlands, 356 Lakeview Drive, Assessors Map 15, Lot 8. The proposed work includes construction of a shed, walkway made of pavers, and driveway paving near Lake Menominee. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom or, if you say to do so, in the second floor auditorium of the Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street. Notice of intent is available by emailing amanugian@townofwinchendon.com.
So this is another one. I'm not sure who's here for it. It does not have a DEP number, so we won't be able to close it. It doesn't look like DEP has any problems with it, more so that they're just having a delay. Is there anyone here to speak to this one?
Yes, this is Warren Field calling.
Great. Do you want to walk us through what we're looking at, Warren? I have the plan up on the screen, and I can go to the photos if you'd like.
Right. The photos show that there was an existing shed which we removed all in one piece to allow room to get around the building when we built the new home. And upon putting it back, it didn't make it as good as it should have. So we built a new one in the same spot, And previously, I guess, when they put the septic system in at some point 4 or 5 years ago, the previous homeowner must have put the shed on the property line there and never went through the hoops to, and then, so when we built a new one, it stirred things up, I guess. And as far as, and then it's going to build a walkway at the lake to the right, I believe, to access the dock. And she wants to pave under the carport and the driveway. And I told her we'd probably have to put like a row of stone or something there to keep it, you know, when we have the flash floods and so forth from, you know, to slow it down a little bit on its way into the lake.
So this is one that you guys had seen previously with the house and the deck. There was an older home that had been demolished and is being rebuilt, and this is just kind of finishing up the details that weren't noted in there, particularly the shed was what kind of drew the attention there. And he will have to go get petition in before zoning to get the clearance from the property line. What we're just looking at is permission to put it 40 feet roughly from the edge of the water where it was existing, and then to do the proposed walkway and paving.
If the shed was there before and we didn't have a problem with it, it's kind of a pre-existing structure, isn't it? And I don't think we deem sheds to be permanent structures, have we?
I'm not sure how you've handled sheds in the past. This one, again, if it had been, you know, through no fault of the current owner or the current contractor, it wasn't properly permitted to begin with. And then when it was demolished, basically that existing nature of it is kind of lost.
What's the problem with moving the shed 10 more feet?
Further back from the water.
To be out of the 50.
Warren,
there's an underground propane tank there.
Okay.
Lauren, what's the shed have for a floor? Is it a wooden floor? What's it sit on?
Yeah. Yes, it's a wooden floor and it's on cement blocks type of thing, you know, the same that was there to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think in the past we called that a permanent structure.
No, Lauren, why can't it sit on top of the propane tank? If the propane tank underground, is it underground or above
yes,
ground?
It's underground.
Well, I can sit on top of that then. No?
I think you'd have to remove a tree there too. I'm not 100% positive, but to get it back to 10 feet, there's a pine tree there too.
I'd like to see you get it out of the 50.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try and do that. I mean, the only reason we put it there is because that's where that's where it was before we, moved it. So we just put it right back in the same spot.
Yeah, well, it wasn't there legally to start with, so now you're caught.
Right. Right.
So then with the paving, we're creating an impervious surface. What's there now?
Oh, it's like a graded base, crushed stone. And I don't think it would affect the permeability of it at all because it's on quite a slope there anyway. So maybe a mist or something might soak in, but any kind of rain that's heavy would, be running off anyway.
Oh, it's that packed?
Yes. And part of it will be under the carport, so obviously that won't get rained on.
Yeah, you got the roof above it, so it's already an impervious surface up there, so it's going to have runoff on that.
Right. It's got I don't know if any of you went up there and looked, but it's got it's pretty steep anyway.
I went up there today and looked at it.
What'd you think?
I thought they were doing a pretty nice job trying to make the best they could with it. It was all existing and they're just making it better than it was.
And the proposed walkway what is that right now?
Currently it's under construction. It's just a path to the water.
It's dirt right now? Is it dirt right now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all disturbed?
Yep.
And you want to pave that walkway, sir?
No, it's going to be like those,
Paver.
square paver. Yeah, the paver type of things. Yeah, no, that's not going to be pavement down there.
Go ahead, dude.
He's got room to move it back. I think we should have him move it out of the 50, that's all. It's not, yeah, the shed, it's not a major. What about the zoning? Are they gonna allow you to keep it from the property line? How are they dealing with that?
Well, I would say if they give her the variance, it should be fine. The neighbor's actually happy about it because it blocks his, it's kind of puts like a fence up there, blocks the view from each other.
If you can just back it up 10 feet, I'd be happy.
Yeah, we can try that.
So at this point, because there's no DEP number, we're going to need to continue it to September 10th anyway. But we can, can take a look at that, and Warren, if you can push it back further, you can let us know that.
So just to be clear with the commission, are we all fine with everything else besides the shed?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, sir, so that's what you need to do between now and September 10th, just figure out how to move that shed 10 feet and submit a new plan, and then we're fine with everything else, it seems. You should be good to go.
Okay, sounds good.
Just don't start any work until you get the approval from that meeting and the papers from Allison.
Yeah, that's fine.
That one would be continued to 9/10 at 6:40.
Can I get a motion to that effect?
Motion to continue.
I second.
In favor, Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yeah.
Chair votes yes.
Alrighty, so we will follow up on that one in another month.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yep, bye-bye.
So this is another new one. So it needs to be read.
Pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting on Thursday, August 13, 2020, at 7:20 p.m. to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by the property owner Fred Calvin Miller for proposed work in the 100-foot buffer zone of the Lake Menominee at 165 4th Street, Assessor's Map N4, Parcel 3. Project entails replacement of the retaining wall and top stairs of a wood brick construction. The deck rail is proposed on the top of the wall. The project also includes removal of a large oak and other improvements to steps and walkways. The hearing will be held remotely via Zoom, or if it's safe to do so, in the second auditorium of Winchton Town Hall, 109 Front Street. More information is available by emailing amanugian at townofwinchton.com.
So this one is currently in RDA. Yep. So we have Calvin here. There's a good amount of information and a number of pictures, but if you want to walk us through it, and then I'll try and get to the right pictures as we go.
Okay,
Calvin,
yep, you'd like me to take you through it. This was a retaining wall. When it was built, it was just holding back the soil from eroding. There used to be, when it was built in 1948, there used to be a 5 to 10 foot beach area in front of it, but through the years, the water level has been risen. That compromised the structure, and it is now leaning forward. So this is the part that we'd like to widen the stair and replace this retaining wall. Again, you can see where it's buckled there on the right-hand side.
That down at the base, is that new concrete?
All that is patch. That's all that is.
Yep.
When you come up that narrow stairway, that's approximately 23 inches wide. We want to make that stairway a little bit wider to at least 36 inches. And there is a existing poured concrete walkway. We'd like to break that up manually and replace it with a paver system. As you are going up that walkway on the left-hand side of the walkway, I circled it there. That's a retaining wall that was installed the same time, 1948. You can see that it's been compromised and it's leaning forward. We'd like to remove that and replace it with a block system wall. As you continue going up, you can see the original stairway that's no longer in use. If you look to the top of the picture, a little bit to the left, you'll see a paver walkway, and we want to put a platform there, and then after that platform, there would be a stairway that would go parallel to the current the old stairway that was there. The old stairway will remain. Again, this is a picture looking down from the road rather than up from the lake. And again, I circled the area where the current old stairway is. And so you can see the area where I want to put that little platform so it can take a left onto the deck to have access to the side entrance of the house. There would be that stairway that would go adjacent to the old stairway, and then a walkway that would go in between the deck and the hand pump. Again, that's just another picture of it. And this is in the front of the house. This permit was issued to us, and it's been quite a while. And so what we have had a problem with is, again, that's pavers outlined by wood, pressure treated wood, which has been now compromised, which needs replacing. And so we would want to replace that with pavers and blocks. This is looking down from the street, but it would be to the right of the picture you were just looking at. That is the large tree that we would like to take down. It's approximately 15 feet from the water. If you look at the very top of the picture, you can see it's actually only 3 feet from the eave of the house. We'd like to take that tree down. And you can see the tree that I circled there. It's the same tree that we want to take down. You can see we would want to put in some kind of a paver system walkway to help prevent any erosion.
I think I've muted the problem there.
And this brings you back up to the front of the house, straight ahead. That is a stair system that we currently have to the left of our front door as you're entering from the street. And again, it's that paver system that has wood, and the wood's being compromised. So again, we'd like to replace that wood with block so that it becomes more permanent. And this is the front, and in front of the house, going parallel to the house is the best way to describe it is an elongated stairway. The reason why it was built so that my father, who was in a wheelchair, and my uncle, who was in a wheelchair, was able to have access to the house, so that it's the stairs are approximately 4 feet wide by 3 feet, and they have that 5.5 inch down. The reason why you see it torn up there, just to the right, you can see the circle. That's the clean out for the septic system. I recently had a clog of roots in the pipe, and so they had to dig that up. And so that's why it's been compromised there. But again, the wood, it's a brick wood construction, as you can see in the lower area. And we would want to keep the brick, but just replace the wood with a block system.
That concludes all the pictures. So before we jump into it, I'll just remind everyone that this is a request for determination of applicability. So this isn't a notice of intent, but rather a decision as to whether the work proposed would impact the wetland. So a negative finding would allow him to move forward as is. A positive finding would require a notice of intent. So, discuss.
Well, I'll start. In my opinion, the walls need replaced. That's obvious. And we'll just have to put the order of conditions in for the proper erosion controls and silt fence as standard. And seems like doing the paver system is a good idea rather than making it an impermeable surface. At least the water can go between the pavers. The tree, is the tree old?
It's been there since my dad built the building in 1948. It's just gotten large over the years. It's a relatively healthy tree. The concern is that it's just so close to the building. The insurance company was encouraging me to pursue and removing it.
Okay. All right, comments from the board?
I did visit the site today, and that tree is leaning directly over the structure. As it gets towards the roof of the house, it's then leaning right over the roof. And the wood structures are dilapidating, so that I feel that it is a safety hazard with the wood as is. I think that they need to do something to make it safer.
I don't really think there's a difference between wood or concrete pavers in terms of not being permeable. Just have to
No, the wood's just rotted. You can put your fingers right through the wood. It's completely rotted on the wood itself.
Right. David?
I went out there this afternoon also, and I think he has a good plan. The tree is like leaning right over the top of the house. It's a hazard to the residents. It needs to come down. I think he needs to file a notice of intent. The water level comes right up to that, right now anyhow. I mean, during drawdown, they'll be okay. It's got to be done during drawdown because the water level is right up just about to the retaining wall. But the retaining wall is ready to fall under the water. So everything's pretty close to the water. I think our RDA is not going to do a notice of intent, is my opinion.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to that, yes. The applicant
Positive finding?
A second.
We need to close the hearing first.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, applicant needs to file a motion of intent to go forward with the project.
Can we have a motion to close the hearing?
Oh, sorry. Motion to close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yep.
Chair votes yes. Now we need a motion for a positive finding.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yes.
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Yes. All right, chair votes yes.
All right. So I will reach out to you, Mr. Miller. Basically, this is a positive finding, which indicates that the project will or could very well impact the wetland, so you'll need to do a notice of intent. We can work on that together and get it through probably for the next meeting, and then it sounds like there are no real concerns with the project. It'll just be approved with conditions and things that outline how it needs to take place.
Okay, terrific. Great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All righty. So the next one.
Keep scrolling, make that page count go up.
Exactly. I will do what I can in the future to reduce that. So we do have the applicant here for the next one. This is a request to amend an order of conditions. And basically, as you can kind of see the way I've got it positioned, and Tim, I'll let you speak in a second. The yellow was the original kind of generic approval. So this was the septic that's out toward the road, and you can see that it comes down at an angle. And basically the application now that they're actually looking at it with a specific homeowner with a specific plan. There's a guy wire down in this area off of this utility pole that has forced the driveway and hence the septic to be pushed up a little bit. So they're looking to alter that yellow restricted area that was agreed to previously. The red line that I've drawn on here shows where it was, and basically what they'd like to do is remove this little section from the restricted area and then add this. So it's kind of just a swap, and it's just an amendment. So I don't know if someone who's here for the applicant wants to walk us through that or just answer questions.
Allison, can you hear me? This is Tim Sullivan. Yep. Yeah, hi, thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Allison stated it very clearly when we bought the property a year ago and started looking at the site as it was engineered previously with an order of conditions that was approved back in 2017. We noticed that this guy wire was impacting where the driveway was originally planned. So our desire is to, and I met with the electric company out there. The guy wire needs to stay because the overhead power lines change direction. At this pole, the power lines go across the road. And so at the end of a long line, they needed a guy wire to stabilize it. So I moved the driveway, rotated the septic field without changing any of the engineering of the septic field. And that pushed things over the delineation line by about 7 feet in the form of a triangle, as Allison has said. The area that we're looking to, encroach on has no trees on it. It's just leaves and, some very small weeds, vegetation. The area that we're looking to add into the restricted area as compensation for, the deletion, it's a little larger area. It's actually not quite to the scale Allison shows here, but close enough. And that has thinly wooded, saplings and the like on it that, I think would be worth including in a restricted area. So it's, it's more than an even swap of land, and there's no impact to any additional tree cutting or anything like that.
I think that's more than a reasonable request. Any comments from the board?
Just before discussion goes in too far, I'll throw in that he also is requesting a 1-year extension to that order. Again, I don't think that's a significant move, but.
Yeah, and that it's more of a COVID, related delay. We had hoped to break ground earlier in the year, but had to put things on hold. And we're now looking to break ground this fall or, sooner. And so we should have we should be coming for a completion certificate in the spring is our desire at this point.
Any comments from the board? Concerns?
Looks good to me.
I'm fine with it.
I have a motion to issue the amendment.
So moved.
A second?
All in favor? Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes to issue the amended order of conditions.
Awesome. So I will write that up and then get you guys a copy of it. But you're going to be good to go.
Thank you, members of the board, and you too, Allison, for your help.
Yep.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Alrighty. So looking at what remains, I think we're back to talking about Mr. White's property, and it looks like he's here, so that's great. I was saying earlier, Philip, that you've done some work since these pictures were taken, and at this point, kind of if you want to walk us through what's there, and then potentially you and the board can reach some sort of agreement as to, kind of things staying where they are. At this point, then we can start moving forward from the violation. So can you walk us through what we're looking at?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not sure what your question was as to what the structures are. Was your question? I'm not sure.
So I was looking for the board to understand what's been relocated. and then, to try and reach some sort of consensus around the things that haven't been relocated potentially staying, or what folks want to see. It may be something, I'm not sure what the best way is to resolve it, but if you can tell us what's already been moved, that would be helpful.
Well, when you and the building inspector were there several months ago now, I guess.
Yep, that was in February.
You asked to, you looked everything over, and all the conclusion that we came to was that you asked if I could move a shed out of the 50-foot zone, and that's what I did. And so I'm not sure what else, if anything, that you would like me to do.
And that was this one that's kind of the arched, I don't even know what one calls these. That was this structure back here, Philip?
Right.
Closest in, and it had lawn mowers at the time we were there.
There were two of those were relocated.
Well, most of that has been cleaned up. That was taken a long time ago. There's only one boat in the area right now, and no lawn mowers. I have a car trailer, and everything else has been moved out. Okay, so that is an old picture. The one of the temporary temporary garages, or the mobile garages that I have, I am planning to take that down. Okay, by Labor Day, I won't need that anymore, so that will be gone. And there's virtually nothing there. There's I think a couple of boat trailers, and that's it, really. So I don't know what else you would like me to explain. If you have a question, I'll be happy to answer it.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, it's up to the board. There are a number of structures there that, are existing. I don't know when they were built. I don't know where folks stand on allowing them to remain.
Right. Well, I think that we had gone over that with the building permits that I had, and that the only thing that I guess I didn't do is that you informed me was I didn't get a final inspection. Once I got the building permits, I thought it was a building permit, and I didn't know I had to go back and get the buildings inspected after they were completed. And so that's all I was aware of at the time that we talked. Is there something else that has come up?
No, so that was the building permit side for the larger sheds, or shed.
Right, the barn. Then there's an old shed there. There's a shed that I put there probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago that I did get a building permit for, and you had that information when you came over.
Right. So anything within 100 feet of the wetland, in this case the lake, the board has jurisdiction over, and I can't find any record that any of this was, that permission was sought or granted for any of these structures to remain. So I don't know how the board wants to resolve this.
I am not sure what your concern is. It's everything. Well, I think, is it most everything on the lake within 100 feet? I mean, some people's living room are, within 100 feet or 50 feet of the lake. So I'm not exactly sure, what would you like me to do? That's what I'm not understanding.
And that's what the board needs to comment on.
I personally am fine with the sheds the way they are because of the age, and this is an old issue that was just now brought to our attention. They've been long-standing, but I'm just concerned of what's stored in them. That's the only thing I would regulate, in my opinion. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Well, the only thing in there are tools and things that I use, for working on my lawns and stuff like that. So there is nothing in there that I store. I have, of course, because of being on the lake, I have a few motors, but any outboard motors that I have are two-stroke, and there's no oil in a two-stroke motor, as you well know, I'm sure, that you have to add the oil to the gas when you run them. So I'm not storing anything of any problem, on the lake. I've lived on the lake for 43 years. I've been a member of the board, and the last thing I would want to do would be to do anything to harm the lake. And so I don't store anything up there that would do that.
Right, and I came up there and spoke with you at length with April Mills when she was on the board, and that's the opinion I came away with, was that you do care about the health of the lake and you wouldn't do anything irresponsible.
So I have a question, Kyle, for Phil. Phil, looks like there's a camper trailer there. Is that what I'm looking at with the top? I'm looking at the old picture with the snow in it. Is that a camper trailer with the top over it?
Yes.
You have a car trailer. Are those registered?
That is not registered at the time. That's not a problem. I can register it, but I have not at this time, but I'd be happy to register it.
The car carrier? The car trailer?
I'm sorry?
The car trailer, is that registered?
The car trailer is registered, yes.
And how long have you lived on the lake?
43 years.
So I'm going to walk you through these. I want you to tell me how long you think they've been there. There's a little brown, looks like almost like a well house or something. What is that? Right next to the...
Which one is that? Oh, we have a little boathouse down there. It's an open boathouse. And we have a little, what you would call a barbecue shack. It's just as our barbecue is in a little open shack. It's not a shack, but it's a little, building there just to keep it out of the rain. That's about it. And we had a wood pile there for many, many, many years. And then we went ahead and just put a little wood shed there. It's an open wood shed. It's just to make it look better. That's all. But the wood pile has been there for, 40 years or more. That little building you see next to the camp on the right-hand side, that is a wishing well that will move around.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's not a permanent structure. We were going to do some landscaping, and that was going to be in the landscape, and we haven't done the landscaping yet, so.
All right. And it looks like there's a boat behind the car trailer, like maybe a pontoon boat.
Yes, there were some boats there, but right now I'm down to, there is one boat there now in the yard. That's it.
Okay, I haven't been up in a while, so all right.
Right. No, that's snow on the ground, so it's been a while.
And what do you do there? Are you doing any type of repair business or anything like that?
No, we don't repair. I mean, we from time to time we can get a boat that's maybe needs some upholstery work, or maybe a new rug, stuff like that. That's all. Nothing. We don't work on motors. We don't do any of that work there at all.
Okay. That's all I have, Kyle.
And Melissa, do you have any concerns?
No, I drove by today and it was pretty empty.
Okay, Allison, what are we looking for here?
So that's fine. I think I've taken some notes, and I will draft up, and Kyle, I can work with you on it if the board so chooses, kind of a letter outlining what's there, that more things won't be added without permit kind of thing, and then that will sort of capture a snapshot in time, if you will, of what's okay to stay and where we're at right now. So that would kind of eliminate any violation concerns for the future for where we're at.
Okay.
I agree with Kyle. I think he's, prior to the bylaw change, when anything new has to be permitted. So if it's pre-existing prior to the bylaw change, which was 98, I think, he's been there longer than that. So I don't think there's a lot that we can, change.
That sounds good. So I will draft that letter, Kyle, run it by you, and then we can get it out, and that will take care of the violation, and we'll take it off the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Mr. White.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
So that, I think, concludes everything that was on the agenda. Does anyone have any other items or questions?
Any idea when we're going to go back to having a regular meeting? Have we heard anything from the governor?
We have not heard anything at this point. The governor is, in fact, kind of moving backwards, if you will, and getting slightly more restrictive in what he's looking for. So I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but I will certainly keep folks apprised. I think that would make it a lot easier. The other...
November 4th, we'll all have miracle immunity. Watch. Master's gone.
Piece that I'll just mention now, sometime and has not been able to participate for I'm not sure what reasons. I was hoping he would be here tonight. So unless someone objects, I will probably speak with the town manager about asking the select board to remove him so that we can fill that vacancy with someone who is able to attend and participate more fully.
I'm fine with that. And I believe David made a motion to adjourn.
Good.
Another second?
I second that.
All in favor, Melissa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.